All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about two things that sound similar, but are worlds apart when it comes to what's happening inside your engine: detonation and pre-ignition. Understanding the difference is pretty crucial. You've probably heard it before, right? You're accelerating, maybe going up a hill, and you hear this faint, almost metallic pinging noise. Well, that's not just a random sound. That is your engine trying to tell you something is wrong, and we're about to figure out exactly what it's saying.
But hey, before we get into all the ways things can go wrong, let's first take a look at what a healthy, happy engine is supposed to be doing. Because when it's running right, it's like a perfectly timed mechanical symphony.
At the core of it all is the four-stroke cycle. It's this beautiful, constant dance. You've got intake, sucking in air and fuel. Then compression, squeezing that mix really tight. Then comes the main event, the power stroke, where the spark plug fires, pushing the piston down. And finally, exhaust, which pushes all the used-up gases out. This whole sequence happens thousands of times every single minute. It's pretty incredible. And that power part, it's not just a chaotic explosion. In a happy engine, that flame that starts from the spark plugs spreads out smoothly, evenly, just like the ripples from a pebble tossed into a calm pond. That controlled burn is what gives you a nice, strong, steady push on the piston. So, what happens when that smooth, orderly burn gets disrupted? Well, that brings us to our first problem, and it's the culprit behind that pinging sound we talked about. It's called detonation.
Okay, so here's what's happening. The spark plug fires, and that nice flame front starts spreading out. But because of all the heat and pressure building up, another little pocket of fuel and air, way on the other side of the chamber, just spontaneously combusts. It goes off all on its own. And the key thing to remember here is that this always happens after the spark plug has already done its job.
Now, a lot of people think that ping you hear is the sound of two flame fronts colliding. But that's not actually it. What you're hearing is a massive, super sharp pressure spike that makes the metal structure of the engine itself vibrate. It's literally ringing like a bell that just got smacked with a tiny, powerful hammer. So is it bad? Yeah, it is. A little light detonation might not kill your engine right away, but if it keeps happening, it's like a slow poison. It can physically break things like piston rings. It can blast the top of the piston until it looks like it's been sandblasted. And it can cause major overheating because it messes up this tiny insulating layer of gas that's supposed to protect all the metal parts. And get this, that ringing sound, that vibration, is so unique that it happens at a very specific frequency, right around 6,400 Hertz. And that's no accident. That's precisely what the knock sensors in any modern engine are listening for. The moment they hear that frequency, the car's computer can instantly react to prevent damage. Pretty clever, right? Okay, so detonation is bad. We've established that. But there's another condition that is so much worse, it's often called the silent killer, and that is pre-ignition. Pre-ignition is exactly what it sounds like. The fuel and air mixture lights up before the spark plug even gets a chance to fire. It's not a second fire front, it's the only fire front. And it's being started by something else in the chamber that's gotten so hot it's literally glowing, like a tiny piece of charcoal or the tip of the spark plug itself. And this is what makes it absolutely terrifying. Unlike detonation, you don't hear a ping. Pre-ignition is silent. There's no warning. The piston is still trying to move up to compress the mixture, but it's fighting against an inferno that's already trying to force it back down. As one engineer put it so perfectly, you never hear it, the engine just blows up. The evidence left behind tells the whole story. If you look at a piston damaged by detonation, it might look pitted or sandblasted around the edges. But pre-ignition? The heat and pressure are so intense and focused that they will literally melt a hole right through the center of the piston. It's a completely different and way more catastrophic failure.
So let's put these two side by side because this is really the most important takeaway. Making the distinction is everything.
Okay, let's run through it. The timing. Detonation happens after the spark. Pre-ignition happens before. The sound. Detonation makes an audible ping. Pre-ignition is silent. The cause. Detonation is from that leftover end gas going off. Pre-ignition is from a glowing hot spot. And maybe the most important difference of all, the speed of failure. Detonation can slowly damage an engine over time. Pre-ignition can destroy it in a matter of seconds, literally just a few revolutions of the engine.
So you're probably wondering, if these horrible things can happen, how do engines last for hundreds of thousands of miles? Well, it's all because engineers have gotten really good at preventing them from happening in the first place.
One of the biggest things they play with is the compression ratio. That's basically just how tightly the engine squeezes that air and fuel. This table here compares it to a diesel engine, which uses super high compression to ignite fuel on purpose. For gasoline engines, engineers carefully pick a compression ratio that's lower. It's a sweet spot that makes great power without squeezing the fuel so hard that it starts to detonate on its own.
And they have a whole arsenal of other tools too. Using the right high-octane fuel helps a lot because it's just more stable. They designed the combustion chambers to burn the fuel really fast, so that end gas doesn't even have time to think about detonating. They choose spark plugs that run cooler to stop them from becoming those dangerous hotspots. The car's computer is constantly listening and can change the spark timing instantly if it hears knock. They'll even run a richer fuel mixture under high load, not for more power, but because the extra fuel actually helps cool things down inside.
All of which leads to one last question for you to think about. Our engines today are amazing. They're more powerful and more efficient than ever before. But as engineers keep pushing those limits with more turbocharging, higher compression, they're always walking this incredibly fine line. So has technology really eliminated these problems for good? Or have we just gotten better at managing a risk that's always going to be there, lurking just under the surface? It's something to consider the next time you put your foot to the floor.